be frozen.
All right, everybody. Welcome to Tech Talk Thursday. First off, I'd like to just say that if you're hearing some rumblings in the jungle, it is actually a lot of thundering going on at the moment here, electrical storms, and I've already lost power once, which is super fun. So hopefully that will not happen, but we shall just see what's going on here. Let me just get some sound effects going on. There we go. Right, so today we have a very special guest, which is Eden Liu from Reincubate. She's going to be talking about her journey, Camo, sharing some of the products that we know and love. And we can't wait for her to come on the show. But first of all, let me just say hello, as ever, to my illustrious co-host, Martin McKenna. Martin, hello. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hello, all you people out there in Radio Land. Welcome to sunny Edinburgh. At least it's a lot sunnier than it is for Neil at the moment. By the looks of things.
Just fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I've made Martin the co-host of the show, so Eden and Martin can keep chatting away as they want to, but we'll lose the live stream. But who knows? The power of Ecamm will reconnect us if it happens. Wow, we've got some comments already from people. Let's say a quick hello to James. Thanks, James, for joining today. Where are the snacks? I don't know. Where are the snacks? We'll find out in a second. Ah, right. Got to share the snacks. We'll find out in a second. And who else have we got in the house? Saeed is here as well, but I don't see his comment. But yes, thanks, Saeed, for joining. Eden, if you're ready, give us a quick wave in the green room and we can bring you on to the show. Without further ado, let's bring on Eden Liu. That almost rhymed. It wasn't meant to. Hey, Eden, welcome. How you doing? Nice to see you.
Hi, I'm doing great. Thank you guys so much for having me. I, as you guys know, pop into Tech Talk Thursdays and your other Vertical Go Live show occasionally. So it's an honor to be here with you guys and get to chop it up and talk some shop. I've been looking forward to this all week.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you for sharing all the socials and all that kind of stuff. It's always nice to get all the responses and things, and there's a lot of love in the room for you at the moment, so that's cool, and really happy for you to be here as well and share all the stuff related to what you're doing. So first of all, though, for people who don't know you, which I just can't believe anymore in this industry, can you let people know who you are and what do you do?
Happy to. So I am Eden from Camo. From Camo is actually not my last name. My last name is Liu, but I'm so used to introducing myself as Eden from Camo now. That's how I will continue. I lead content and community at Reincubate, and that's why you see me all over the Camo landing pages and the YouTube channel. I've been podcasting since 2016, which I didn't even realize was considered as content creation for a very long time. But when I think about it that way, it feels like, wow, I guess I have been creating content for more than just a couple of years now. So been podcasting since 2016. I still do some of that on the side. And I started live streaming in 2020, much like everyone else that started live streaming in 2020 when we felt the need to connect remotely a little bit more. And it was my podcasting experience, along with the dabbling I had started to do with live streaming, that led me to my role here at Camo. It's sort of like a perfect timing, I feel, of Camo popping up as originally a tool that allowed you to use your phone as a webcam. We've evolved a lot since then, which we'll get into later. But at the time, Camo was looking for someone to do more video content for them. And I was doing podcasting, mostly audio, but we had just started to sort of shift to audio when the pandemic hit. Shift to video and live streaming when the pandemic hit, because we felt like we wanted to still be. Actually, I remember the main reason we did that was because we had a live show in person planned in New York, actually, that we had to cancel for COVID. And that was when we made the decision to move to live streaming and video to try to connect with our audience more. And a couple of later, I started at Camo to do the same thing for them. So that's sort of like the short version of my journey to getting to be a in-house content creator for Camo by Reincubate.
Fantastic. And Reincubate is a UK company, right? They're based in, that's the sort of founders
London.
in the UK, London.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's actually why I'm super conscious of the time change and the time difference that we had to navigate a little bit, because we're in those weird 3 weeks of the year where Europe and America, I think the two major big continents that still do time changes, we change the time, but we don't decide to align on when that's changed, just to make things extra confusing for people that work internationally. So Neil and Martin, thank you guys for being very on top of the proactive communication and making sure that I showed up at the right time.
No problem. Martin and I both are from the old corporate world, and there used to be all kinds of argy-bargy going on when these time changes happened and having to reschedule meetings. And you think when people are like, oh my gosh, I've missed a meeting, and no, I haven't, because it's very confusing. I just wish they'd just align at the same time, or just abolish the time change altogether. I don't really mind,
The first time that happened, I was a few months into the job, first time working remote. And I thought I was being trolled because all of the meetings from the week had been changed. At the time that they were last week, I don't remember if they moved forward or they moved back, but I was like, did I miss a memo? And I was like going through Slack. Everyone was just carrying on as usual. And I finally reached out to my COO, line manager, and I was like, hey, so why did all the meetings get pushed an hour later? And he was like, oh, like you guys changed time. That's why. And I was like, oh my God, it just didn't even occur to me that while we do change time, that we would not align on when that time changes. So little funny story there.
Makes no sense to me whatsoever. So today we're going to talk a little bit about Camo stuff. Go on, Martin. Sorry, you were about to say something.
No, I was going to, a funny quick story. I can distinctly remember my mother used to drag us to church every week. And I remember one time being dragged to church, and as we arrived, everybody was leaving because she'd forgotten to change the clock. So I was secretly delighted, but don't tell anybody that because I'll go to hell.
That's really funny. Yeah, there always used to be this thing on the UK, like, don't forget to change your clocks, before the internet and things like that. But there you go. Oh, we have a lot of comments in before I start asking you questions and things. Let me just cycle through here. So we've got KJ in the house saying that Eden has been trend-setting since 2016, and I don't know why my thing keeps changing there. That's better. Let's get that. Well, you have been trendsetting since 2016. Video like a dad. Eden Lou adds a bit of sunshine to your day. Absolutely.
Shouts to Video Like a Dad. Love that guy.
Oh, and we had some calm. Do we really? Well, you should have seen me before we started the show. It was all craziness. But anyway, we're all calm now. We're all friends here, relaxed. So let's talk a little bit about Camo. And we always say Camo, but Reincubate is the company, Camo is the product, right? And Camo's got a number of iterations in terms of products, because you've got Camo for the iPhone and any phone, basically, right? That it will work for, and we can talk about that in a second. Then we've got Camo Studio for iPad, which I actually love, and I think it's a great product, and it's just amazing that you can actually do these things on an iPad. And I'm hoping we're going to get some more news about what's going on with that, and may that product continue. And then we've got Camo Studio, which is now all in beta at the moment, and it's available both for Mac and Windows. And I think that's the interesting thing about Reincubate as a company. They really try to make sure that both platforms are catered for. So both Mac and Windows users both have the opportunity to take advantage of the software. So I don't know where you want to start, but maybe you'd like to maybe have a chat and tell us a little bit about Camo Studio. And if people are just using their phone, as I've got one set up here that I can show later, or if they've just got a not very good webcam and want to have more control over that, maybe you can explain a little bit about how Camo can actually help them out. I'll make you full screen.
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to. I do want to say thank you, Neil, for mentioning all the iterations of Camo. We decided to make it extra confusing by supporting all these different platforms and having 3 different product names that we hopefully will be aligning in feature set and cohesiveness as we move forward. this year. But yeah, so our main product that I mentioned a little bit earlier that Neil also shared a little bit about is our desktop Camo Studio for both Mac OS and Windows. We started out as iPhone to Mac and then quickly realized that people on Windows also wanted to use their phones as webcam. And then we also expanded to Android. So you can use your iPhone with your Windows computer or your Android with your Mac computer, Android, Windows, Mac, iPhone, any of the combinations all work. So we want to make it as easy as possible for everyone. And I will just do some screen sharing to show off some of these features. So as Neil mentioned, oops, sorry, forgot that my window placement needs to not move too much. There we go. We now support any camera you can connect to your computer. So that is webcams, phones, DSLR. Right now I'm using a DSLR camera that is brought into my computer with a capture card. And through this drop-down menu, which I know the top is a little bit cut off, but I think we can talk through the point, is that you'll see any device that you have connected to your computer that is recognized as a camera show up in your device drop-down menu. So I also have my iPhone camera set here to show you guys how your phone camera can look really nice also, even if you don't have a professional camera set up. And because the iPhone actually does, some of the features are a lot more obvious on the iPhone, I'm going to continue to demo using the iPhone for now. Neil mentioned earlier that you can do fine-tune image adjustments. So this will be this part of the control panel on the right-hand side. White balance is one of the key ones that, Neil, remember you talked about how to configure white balance in one of your recent videos, which I learned a lot from, that I thought was really cool. But I find that a lot of cameras struggle to get white balance correctly, like definitely webcams. The phones do a pretty good job with auto, but a lot of the time, just depending on your lighting situation, even if you're not at home or you get different amounts of sunlight coming out through the day, I do like to change the white balance a little bit to make me make sure my skin tone looks correct. I can look a little bit too yellow in some lightings and then look a little bit too blue in some lightings. And the white balance tool is just one of my favorites to make sure that I look how I want on camera. We also have the typical saturation, vibrance, contrast tools that if you've ever edited a photo or a video on your phone, you'll be familiar with, that just can help you create different vibes. Saturation, turn all the way up. Vibrance is a really cool one that helps color with, helps bring out the color of a talking subject as opposed to like things on your desk. But the iPhone does a really good job with all of the settings on auto in general. The cool thing here is image enhancements that I'm using to make my background have the bokeh effect. So normally this is what it would look like. You can see that the text on my skateboard, Supreme, is super crystal clear, which can be useful for some things, but everyone, I feel like by now that is in video, knows that we all want that awesome depth of field bokeh effect for our video to help us sort of look extra in focus because everything else is kind of blurred out, and it just gives that high quality feel to your video. The best thing about it is that it comes with an adjustable slider. We love sliders at Camo because we want you to be able to get the levels exactly how you want. But see, right now, if I have it turned all the way up, it actually looks kind of unnatural. And I would say that you should definitely test the slider against your environment. So like I was just talking to Martin and Neil about how I live in Brooklyn, New York, tiny apartments. I can touch this wall back here by only taking a few steps back. So I don't need that much bokeh. I usually just keep it dialed super down, super low, so it looks really natural still based on my actual environment. If you have stuff that is further back in your background, you might benefit a little from cranking the bokeh level up a little bit higher. But I actually kind of overall feel like with all settings, when it comes to adjusting your video, subtlety is usually the key, is to just keep things subtle. A lot of little subtle adjustments can make a big difference rather than leaning too far either way. We also have privacy mode, which fully blurs out your background. And we also have replace mode, which is a virtual green screen that also allows you to switch out your background. And that is not the one that I wanted to do. This one. There we go. That's
Very
what I get
cool.
for not labeling my files. As you guys can see, it just says like clean shot test. So yeah, this is the one I was looking for
We're all
a
guilty
little
of
bit
that. Don't worry, we're all guilty of that.
yeah, file organization is one of my biggest areas of improvement, let's say. Yeah, so actually I still look a little bit warm, so I'm going to dial down the temperature just a little bit. Also, next up on our image enhancements is our spotlight feature, which is a really cool feature that we have on both Mac Windows and on the iPad that kind of just highlights the person that is on screen. So I have great lighting in my apartment that is set up for doing video. And so you might not be able to see that much of a difference. If I crank it all the way up, you should be able to. I normally wouldn't use it this high, but you can see that it's darkened my background slightly and sort of like added a highlighter to my face and like the subject. And if I turn it off and then back on, you can see like a pretty big difference in the lighting on my face specifically. So this is like a really useful tool if you are not in your usual environment with good lighting, or if you just don't have good lighting. It's a really good way to supplement your video and make sure that people can see you and see you clearly and keeps you in the center of attention. So those are, oops, didn't mean to do that, a few of our image enhancements. We also support filters or LUTs. Here we go. And we have all of these baked in that can help you fine tune your image and get the video to look exactly how you want. Also, complete with a slider. Who would have thought that our LUTs also come with an intensity slider? Yeah, so those are our image enhancements and our image adjustments. And those are all on the right-hand side, which Neil mentioned our beta program. And so I'll just go ahead and say that if you're on our beta program, it might look a little bit different for you because we have moved some stuff around, but this is the live version. So it's what I'm demoing with now. And the left-hand navigation is kind of your control panel. You have your device drop-down menu with all of the devices that you have available to you that you can quickly switch to. If I like switch back to my regular camera or even my FaceTime camera, although it's not at a very good angle. Here, let's get back to the regular one. Your resolution and frame rate drop-down menus are also here for quick and easy settings. Audio setting is here, especially if you are planning to do any recording. So this is actually something that I didn't realize, but a lot of Camo, longtime Camo users did not know that we have this recording button up here. So that's actually why we added like audio support, is to go with our recording feature. It's just quick and easy, one-click recording, and if you have mics connected, you can select it here, and that's what Camo will use for your recordings. We have presets and overlays also here in the left-hand navigation panel. I struggle with left and right sometimes. I just like forget which side I'm working with sometimes. But we have a bunch of built-in, oops, that's a test scene. Sorry about that. There we go. Here, let's go to my templates. Can y'all see the templates? It's open up in another window. So
Yeah, we can see them. It's
okay.
good. Thank you.
Cool. Here we go. We have,
I like the vignette one that's used quite a bit. Is that in this
yeah,
version?
the vignette one,
Yeah.
it is. Here, let me turn that one off, and where did my vignette go? Sorry, I've been switching back and forth between different builds, and so
Yeah, because this is slightly
I don't-
different than the
I can't
beta
find
version,
it.
isn't it? Because I was
yeah.
I was looking at this going, this does not look like the beta version I'm using, but that's why, of course, because it's all different.
Anyway, we come with a lot of bundled template scenes that you can use for lower third, quick and easy. And the best thing about the lower thirds is that you can actually edit them right within Camo. So if I double click on any overlay, it'll open up this graphics editor that's baked into Camo. So you don't need to necessarily use Canva or Photoshop, although you can also use that to create your lower thirds and bring them directly into Camo. But this is a great way to quickly, this is actually a scene that I set up on office hours last week because I just wanted to show that you like basically the use case that you could just quickly add a logo, a name, and company handle or any other tagline to your video to help you stand out. This is probably our top most popular feature with people that are on video calls a lot, whether that is for sales or if they're just remote slash hybrid and are work with teams remotely a lot. I would say that's probably our top popular feature with people that are doing video conferencing all the time. Yeah, and we have more that we want to do with overlays that we can talk a little bit more if we get to the beta, but
Sure.
I'll finish walking through the basic functions of Camo first. Framing is the last corner of the left-hand navigation that we haven't quite covered yet. We have our basic zoom and pan. We have a auto tracking mode, which
It's very cool.
auto tracking follows your face. There we go. I was like, what does auto tracking do? It keeps you centered in the video. I keep it on a set zoom level, but we also have a setting where it also adjusts the level of zoom along with the pan. So if I move back further away from my computer, it zooms in further to keep me at about the same size as I would be as if I was closer. So I like the middle one though, where it's just kind of set zoom level, and if I move a little bit from side to side, it'll keep me in the middle.
Yeah, that looks really cool. There's a lot of these that are really intrusive, I think, especially some of the PTZ cameras, you know, where they can be a little bit, make you feel a little bit seasick. So I like the fact that you can really adjust this and dial it in to just be a little bit subtle. So if you are somebody that moves around a lot, it looks good.
Yeah, thanks. And on that note, like I feel like when we first shipped the feature, it was a lot faster, and people were giving us feedback that it was a little bit like too fast and it was giving people like sort of motion sickness. So we have kind of fine-tuned the feature based on feedback to make sure things look smooth and that the video looks good, even if it's not tracking you quite as quickly. We love feedback and constructive criticism. But yeah, those are kind of the main points of Camo.
Fantastic.
And if you had any questions, or if the audience had any questions that wanted me to dive into deeper, I'm happy to talk more.
Some questions going in. I was going to mention this, but Saeed already beat me to the punch. Asking about the virtual camera, because let's not forget that Camo has the ability to have the virtual camera built in, so you can use it within Zoom, Teams, Google Meet, heaven forbid, things like that, right? So could you maybe just talk a little bit about the virtual cam features of Camo?
Yeah, thanks. That's a really good question and one of the major functions that I forgot to mention. So thank you, Saeed, for bringing that up. Yeah, Camo works as a virtual camera. So anything that you see in your Camo preview, which was the video of me in the center when I was showing the Camo interface, is what will get sent to Zoom, Teams, anywhere you're using video. It doesn't even need to be necessarily like a video conferencing platform. Even if you're using Loom or Descript to record video, even like, well, we added the recording feature, so you don't need it like for just QuickTime, for example. But it's a lot. Sometimes, you know, Camo just gives you a little bit of help and helps you make sure you look good anywhere you're using video. So anytime after you have installed Camo, you should see Camo always show up as a camera source in any video software that you're using.
Yeah, it's really good because it's like a system wide, isn't it? So that's really cool. Sorry, Martin, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I was going to say. So does that mean that it will appear as a camera for PowerPoint and Keynote as well, which have both now got their live equivalents within those decks for people who are then sharing those decks on Zoom or Teams or whatever?
Yeah, so when you go into PowerPoint or Keynote, when you add your camera view onto your slide deck, I don't remember what the feature is called specifically. anymore, but I know that they both do have where you can basically kind of do a picture in picture on top of your slide deck. And yeah, Camo will show up as a camera video source. And so in that situation, it would just be, you probably wouldn't want to have like very many overlays, especially if you're using it just for like a face cam, but it can help make sure you are centered in your face cam and that you look exactly how you want to look.
Yeah, so rather confusingly, in PowerPoint it's called Cameo. So
Yes,
they just
that's
did that
right. That's right. I was like, I feel like I was just talking to someone about this and it was kind of annoying. And yes, it's called Cameo. Oh my God.
Go figure, right? And what's the one in Keynote? I think it's called. Is it called Live something or other? It's
Live
got
something.
It's got, yeah, it's just Live or something like that. So KJ just said that she has just downloaded Camo because of this tutorial. Boom. There you go.
Oh, yay. Oh, that's Nymph. Thank you for joining. I'm so glad you made it to the show.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for that. That's great. See, the power of just doing demos. People just love this stuff, and that's the thing. I know. And I think people forget that Camo has got all these abilities to tweak and change the image and the overlays, and you can customize your overlays to an extent as well, right? You can add your own logo in there. I think there's ability to change some fonts and things. You can really stylize and dial in your settings to whatever you want for your brand. So you can make your Zoom calls look so much better. And the other thing I do like, because I love some of these features in Camo, is the slightly blurring of the background, the bokeh that you mentioned. And people say bokeh. It's bokeh, isn't it? That's the right term, isn't it?
Wait, how do you say it?
Is it bokeh or is it bokeh? I can never remember. It's bokeh, isn't it? I think.
I think that's right. I probably say bokeh because I like overpronounce things, but I think it is more of like a subtle bokeh.
I don't know.
Bokeh.
I don't. That blurry background stuff is really good and how it's set in Camo because it's very subtle. And you've seen what Zoom calls are like, where the fringing and it makes you like you've got this halo effect. It doesn't look good. And obviously, if you tweak the slider up too much in Camo, it would be the same. But effectively, I think it's really subtle. And I think it was Saeed or somebody mentioned it some time ago that they were using Camo. And I didn't even realize. I thought they had a really nice lens on there, and they said, no, it's a tweak. So we're using something like Camo, so that's really good. And Video Like a Dad has been telling me how to pronounce this, so let's just see what it says. It is pronounced bokeh. Okay.
Bokeh.
Sounds like you're from up north. Bokeh. Okay, so that's fair enough. That's fine. What else? Let's have a see.
Yeah, on the point of the bokeh is that is. Like that was one of our first sort of headline features, and it to this day is one of our most popular features that everyone loves, just being able to add a little bit of background blur to their video, which I honestly didn't even like when I was doing video when I first started. I don't think that's something that I thought about at all. Of course, that was 2020 before I was really entrenched into it either. Right. I think I used to usually go for like a blank wall to use as a background, so it didn't matter whether I had it or not, but that's part of one of the cool things about working for a content creation software is that you really get to hear direct feedback from people and like learn about what features people find useful. Like I also like just you being able to quickly add your logo or your name to a call. Like obviously that's cool, but like until I heard people be like, oh, this helped me close sales. This helped me stand out when I was on a gallery of a Zoom call with like 100 people because I had actually, this is a pretty cool story. It's one of our Camo community members, Richard Zoltner. He, I think, was in a webinar type situation with like a bunch of like a large quantity of people in Zoom. And he had used Camo to, I think, like add some text and like put a virtual background of the book author's cover on his video. And he got noticed because on a webinar call with a bunch of other people, and he got noticed because he was using Camo in some of our features that help you stand out from the crowd when you are a video box that is this size these days. So that's amazing. It was just incredibly validating when you hear people use like just any combination of features and hear that it's really helped them accomplish their goals. Yeah.
It's really interesting, and it's super useful for people who are trying to get a new job, for example, because I'm just talking with a couple of customers recently. All or majority of remote positions now, the interviews are going to be virtual, right? So they're going to be online in some capacity. They're either going to be on Zoom or something like that. And if you can just elevate a little bit about how you look and how you present yourself, because this is now your new suit and tie, right? This is your new uniform. So if you can look good on camera and using things like camo to make you stand out, then you are in a much better position, I think, to present yourself well. And it gives you confidence. If you look decent on camera, you've got a lot more self-confidence to be able to articulate and hopefully get that job. But I know recruitment is big, and I think things like LinkedIn that Martin and I have been speaking about, and going live on LinkedIn and really just pushing that as well, I think is really important, because there's a lot of people using these tools, but they're not really pushing themselves to look better on camera. And you know now that everybody can get and achieve a decent look in their videos. So it's not good enough anymore just to be just like the rest of the people. You know, you need to have better video quality, and you do need to stand out. And I think because it's becoming more commonplace and technology becomes cheaper, there's an expectation now that when somebody turns up on camera, it's going to look decent. So I think people are less forgiving now if it's a bad image. Just like audio was back in the day. You know, you could watch a video with good audio, but the other way around, people would just switch off. So camo is absolutely helping people with that.
Yeah, I totally, that just reminded me of sometimes we go, well, the support team goes through all of our App Store reviews. I sometimes dabble in them because it's a balance of wanting to know what we're doing well and what we're not doing well, and in order to be able to talk about the product and the feedback around it. And there was more than 1 or 2 times where someone was like, wow, my built-in camera crapped out, or I didn't know it was a video interview and that I would need a webcam, didn't have a webcam, found Camo and was able to get the phone set up to use for an interview in like less than 5 minutes. And that was one of the really cool moments where you really feel like you're making a difference beyond just like, oh, my video looks slightly better. It's just like you said, Neil, like we live in a world now that is at minimum hybrid, you know, if not fully remote for work situations anyway. So yeah, it is a really powerful tool in helping you make sure you look good. We all know that the better audio quality is, the more people perceive you as being credible. And I feel like, I don't know if I've seen the studies for video specifically, but I think you can kind of apply that same logic, is that if people can see your face clearly, you're just likely to make a stronger impression than if your video is super blurry, or if it's at a bad angle and all they can see is like, you know, when I switched to my built-in cam earlier, it was like this awkward angle tilting up my nose. So
it's never a good look for anybody, basically, is it?
Yeah.
It's interesting.
And you can do that with continuity camera as well. So I guess just an iPhone on a selfie stick pulled up to eye level, which is going to help straight away. But then with the features of camo as well, then you're onto a winner, I think.
Yeah, actually, now that you mentioned eye level, can I show how I have my setup done right now?
Yeah, of course you can.
I just realized that's
we always love behind the scenes and how you've got things set up, so absolutely go for it. We're all geeks here. We can just geek out all day with this.
Switch to my wrong camera source. 1 second.
No problem. We've got music playing in the background, so it's like in the meantime some music. I'll just turn up a little bit. Because we can do that. We have a question as well coming later for you. That's okay.
Why is this not switching? There we go. Oh, there we go.
You got it? Okay.
There we go. Yes, I got it.
Oof. There you go.
Sorry about that.
No, it's all right. Cool.
This is the DSLR, and I had the iPhone that I was using to demo mounted as close as possible to get like the similar video view. And then over here is where I have the iPad set up ready to bring into my computer. But yeah, Martin, I love that you brought up eye level, is because when I was setting up and testing my cameras, I was trying to get it as close as possible, which is obviously impossible because you can only have one lens in each spot. But I really did try to put the lenses as near each other as possible to give like as uniform a look as possible in camo. Yeah,
fantastic.
So, I think this is an opportunity for Neil to do what is the rule of thirds, Neil, for appearing on, because I think this is something people get wrong all the time.
Well, actually, thank you, Martin, for that, because I was just going to show you something in Camo real quick, because Camo's got this handy-dandy way of making sure that you're actually positioned correctly. If I can just, let me just make sure I present to the right one here. I'll just switch to this.
That.
Yeah, there we go.
So with Camo, you can actually make sure that you're in the right position. My microphone's over here. And just like Eden was using, I only have an iPhone 13, and the image coming out of your camera, Eden, for an iPhone 13 was just amazing. It was super quality. So you don't have to have the best technology to achieve a really decent image, especially if you've got something like Camo to do that. So yeah, make sure that your camera is set to the right eye level, but you can use Camo just to take all the guesswork out of it. And Camo's got a head and shoulders alignment as well, I think, right? It's so this is the other rule of thirds. So you got the rule of thirds grid. So technically I should be a little bit here, but the hair is crazy. So really this line in the middle should be intersecting your eyes. But effectively, that's another good way of making sure that you're keeping yourself at eye level. Marvelous. Love Camo. It's so easy.
Neil, I think you might be better at demoing Camo than I am.
No, not at all. Now, let's talk about the question that came in actually from Video Like a Dad. It was an interesting question because I don't know the answer to this. So Daryl said, can you connect to Windows wirelessly with Camo? He's been using it via USB. Does it support wireless?
Yes. So I'm on a Mac, but I promise you it works wirelessly on both Mac and Windows. I was using an Android phone just now to show the rest of my setup, and wireless is awesome. That's actually why I was able to show my setup. Mary Lou has Camo use as her wireless gizmo cam, her cat Gizmo, who stars in her live streams a lot of the time. Cool. She's like chased Gizmo around the apartment before. And I also really like it. Sometimes, your cable is only so long, Daryl. So sometimes if you're going to show something, how you have your cables managed, that might be somewhere slightly further than a cable can reach. That's a great way to use wireless, is in those hard to reach places.
Fantastic.
I do want to say, while Camo does work wirelessly, I personally still love plugging everything in. Like, it just is reducing an X factor. The convenience of wireless is awesome. That's why we have both options, but there's a peace of mind that comes with wired that it just, you just never know what X factors can be introduced with things that you can't see.
Yes.
Is that too Space Cadet?
Definitely. No, it's absolutely right, because wireless there's a contention supported with that. So if you've got tons of devices on your Wi-Fi, you could just kill the camera, and it is going to take some additional bandwidth because you're basically shoving video over Wi-Fi. So I agree. It's always best to have everything plugged in. That's why even I'm plugged in here wirelessly. But I do like the convenience of wireless headphones and things like that. But yes, sometimes they just break and so on. Yeah, like yours, for example, Martin.
That brings us on to the next item on the agenda. He says, keeping an eye on the time. I know, because we're in the Ecamm moderators community, that we can almost have a drinking game based around how often people ask for Ecamm on the iPad, because it's not coming.
Or Windows.
Because they're different.
Yes, or Windows.
They are different operating systems. They're not getting on Windows, definitely, but they're also not getting it on the iPad, because I don't think people generically realise that the operating systems on an iPad are not the same as the operating systems on a Mac, and of course they're not the same as Windows. So clearly at Camo, you've given your developers 3 times the amount of work to do to port across all the different platforms. But tell us the differences between the iPad version and the Mac version, or the desktop version. Sorry, Saeed, I didn't mean to not mention PCs.
Yeah, hashtag I'm sorry to Saeed for Ecamm never coming to Windows. But good thing Camo is here and we are on Windows. But Martin, I love how you presented that, because we do have different functionalities on the various platforms due to those differences in how those operating systems are created. And so, for example, Camo Studio for iPad is already a streaming studio. If I switch to my iPad screen, there we go. You can see here we have not 1, but 2 little camera video source things. And so right now, Camo Studio on desktop only supports 1 video source, but on the iPad, we are able to add two different video sources that you can configure from the left-hand navigation. Each one has a type dropdown, so you can connect a camera, external video source, like which is what I have selected now because I'm bringing in my video game. You can also screen share apps on this iPad if you are running a better iPad that has an M1 or higher, or you can turn it off if you only want one camera source. Here, oh yeah, for external video source, I just have one capture card connected right now, so that's why there's only one set showing up there. But if I switch this to camera, you'll see that all of the iPad cameras have also showed up as options to use as a video source, which I will show in just a second when I switch to video source number 2. So I will make this video source slightly bigger so you can see a little bit. There we go. I don't have any external cameras connected right now, so all you see are the default cameras that come with the iPad. The back camera is pointed to my wall, so that's a little anticlimactic. But yeah, the front ultra wide camera, the back ultra wide would also be anticlimactic because it's just more of the wall that you guys can see. But I'm using the front camera, and it also has the same image enhancements that was available on desktop, although on iPad we have an extra one called remove mode, which cuts you out of your background, which is super popular for video gaming. People love to do the picture in picture with just the sort of floating face. We have the same filters that you saw on desktop and the same spotlight filter. Here, let me come back to normal because I think that looks a little bit better. We also have framing, same auto with zoom, although on the desktop you had sort of the fine-tuned zoom and pan where you could perfectly position where you wanted your video. For now on iPad, we just have the ability to zoom in or out to get yourself in frame, so camera placement is important. This is your audio tab, and then your layer tab for setting up your scene. So this also looks a little bit different than the desktop currently does, but we hope to make everything look a lot more uniform no matter which operating system you are on. And here you can see the various layers that I have in my scene. You can quickly, easily hide or delete any by long pressing. Like this is just a video game scene. I don't really need my name on here. For each individual type of element, pressing the 3 dots will expand more customization settings. So like for my video source, this is also where I could like change the opacity and add rounded corners if I want to do a square instead of a circle, add a border and border colors, opacity slider for the border also, although if I made the border width a little bit more, you'd probably be able to see it better. There we go. Turn that opacity back up. So yeah, it's similar in vibe, but slightly different in feature set for desktop and iPad right now. You can also add a web layer in addition to text, images, and shapes, which are all available on the desktop. Web layer support is only available on the iPad at this moment. Your resolution and frame rate drop-down menus are here. And because you can use Camo Studio on iPad for streaming, which is not yet on desktop, but hopefully coming to a beta near you sooner than later. We also have a scenes panel that you can use to organize your scenes, which I clearly did not have my scenes very organized when I was demoing desktop, but as you can see, I have actually labeled and made cute thumbnails for all of my scenes on iPad. So it's the on-the-go streaming solution, and we've gotten so much positive feedback. This is where you go to record, streaming destinations. We've gotten a lot of positive feedback from people that create content on the go. The markup tool is also quite fun if you want to circle stuff. People love taking the iPad, streaming with them for mobile gaming if they're traveling, or just using it to stream video games. We're super popular with mobile handheld gaming devices, so that's actually why I have my Switch connected right now. And yeah, this is sort of our main feature set for Camo Studio. For iPad, people get confused because some features are on desktop, some features are on iPad. We're doing our best to align everything for you guys, but it'll probably be a little bit before that actually happens. So hang in there. I am always around on the internet. Our Camo YouTube channel, I do office hours and try to have a game plan to try to create more content and do even more office hours or live streams to connect with our community. So if people have any questions or feedback, we definitely welcome all of it. And we read all of it and respond to as much of it as we can.
Fantastic. There was a quick question before you disappear back into your full screen. So Saeed,
Sure.
maybe he missed it, but he was just asking about why no screen sharing. So there is screen sharing with
Yes.
Camo for iPad. So if you could maybe just show Saeed that option again.
Sure.
Yes.
So in your video source settings, primary video source settings, under video type, you have 3 different types that you can select. Apps on this iPad is one of them. So previously I had my capture card that was taking up most of the canvas. And now that I've switched it to apps on this iPad, you can see this this gray rectangle, which is where the iPad screen will appear. However, the secondary camera I have set up is not actually how the screen share will end up looking, because if I demo activating the screen capture, because the iPad operating system is still doing its best when it comes to creator tools. There are some limitations that we haven't been able to work around yet, although we do have some things cooking that we will hopefully get your video to be not just using the system picture-in-picture recording, but the Camo preview window does try to give you a basic idea of what your end result is going to look like, which is not totally. People have expressed a little frustration in it not being super accurate sometimes, that we are definitely working on ways to resolve. But for the meantime, I definitely just recommend doing test recordings to make sure you know what your end project is going to look like before, doing like a hour-long recording and then realizing that it doesn't look exactly how you want. So definitely recommend trying out the screen capture activation and doing a test recording just to see how it's going to look. But yes, you can screen share apps on this iPad, and there's actually a lot we want to do with making that experience a lot better. But thank you for the question.
No problem. If we get you back on full screen for a second, we've got a couple of questions as well. I've got some thoughts as well. So first off, thank you so much for demoing that. I think what people need to realize is that you are putting a live streaming and recording production system on an iPad, and you can just take it with you, and then you can stream to any of these destinations up to 4K at 30 frames a second, I think. So, this is an iPad. So people have to realize that there are going to be some limitations with that. I think you're right about the screen capture. And what I found is that if you are intentional about what application you actually want to stream, then that is going to be sort of full screen as and when you start that. And that's fine. And I think it just depends on what you actually want to share. But when I was testing out Camo Studio for iPad, what I found really cool is the fact that with the newer iPads with USB-C, I can just now plug in a USB dongle, for example, to extend the ports. As long as it's a powered dongle, it doesn't have to be, depending on what camera you've got. If you get a little Meet 2 camera from OBSBot, that's going to give you an amazing image quality. And then you've got a USB microphone plugged in, you're done. That's all you need, right? I mean, you can throw yourself a light as well, but it's like the ultimate live streaming platform for mobile streamers, and it's just great.
You can
and even
pack
with
it up
just
in one bag.
I've even plugged in my Sony a7 IV via USB into the iPad. Now that's a mirrorless camera, high quality 1080 feed coming into this thing, and it's just fantastic. So you need to just check it out. And one thing you haven't mentioned, which I think just still blows my mind, is this is free. The iPad software from Camo is free. You don't have to pay anything. Right. Just download it and use it. Yes. It's a no-brainer.
All the features are free. No gating, no gotchas, no you're going to stream and all of a sudden you need a pro account, none of that. We saved that for the desktop app. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, yeah. There's lots of paywalls in the desktop app. No, joking aside, I think this is incredible, and I don't understand why you're not charging people for it. Maybe in the future you will, so grab it while you can, people. But the point is that it's a fantastic app for free. I couldn't believe it's for free. I thought, well, must be in beta. It must be just testing it for a while, and then it'll become a paid for option. So that's great. So if you've got a large iPad as well, you've got so much real estate to play around with. I know you know the question I'm going to ask you right now. Stream Deck integration. Is it coming? Will it be here? You can plug a Stream Deck in, and then you can flip through your scenes on your iPad. How cool is that? Please tell me it's coming soon.
Neil, are you like what is it, a medium or a seer or
No,
what is this?
I'm just
like
a pain. I'm just
He's
a pain.
large.
I'm just a pain, basically. Keep asking
If
the
my
same
bosses
question.
are watching, I did not leak that. Neil raised the question himself. So while I can't make any promises on specifically when, I can tell you that this is something that we have in the lab, in the kitchen, and
Cool.
we're cooking it. We are cooking it, and we are mixing in ingredients, and we are stirring. So hang
All right.
tight. It's been heavily requested, and I hope to be able to share more at a very near future. Neil knows that I'm great at the couching of when I can actually share stuff.
No,
So
there's no problem with that. No, all joking aside, it's just something that a lot of people have been asking for, and I think I just think this software is amazing. What it does and I haven't got a newer iPad. I've got a probably a 3-year-old iPad, and it works perfectly fine for me. Oh, and there's Martin with his what is that? It's like an iPad Pro. Oh, look at that. All right, Martin,
Yes.
you're gonna have to try that and start playing with it.
Yeah, Martin, I can't wait to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, you should start creating the scenes
I'm
for it.
downloading this. I'm downloading this as we speak. So.
There you go. Fantastic. Lots of love in the room here. Oh, thanks, Saeed. Not medium, just mediocre. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, that's. I'll take that. I think he's sniffy about the comment we made earlier about Windows, but it's all right. We're not trying to Windows bash. We're all friends here, Saeed. We know that. So someone was saying about getting Saeed over to the Mac. You've had this M4 in your cart for months now. They're coming down in price. Just press the button. You know it makes sense. Let's have a see. And Daryl
Come
says
over to
that
the dark side.
he needs to get everybody who's recordingly challenged from a customer's perspective onto Camo. And why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you?
Yes, on that point, can I add something,
Yeah, of course you
Daryl?
can.
So that's actually a use case that I like to present in sort of a non-conventional way, where it is, say you are a content host, Neil, Martin, you guys host content, and you have a guest that's not necessarily a creator-focused guest, but they are an expert in their field. If they don't have a really awesome camera setup, I would recommend you sending them Camo's actually, the desktop version is actually free up to 720p, which is usually enough for most use cases. And they can use their phone as a camera instead of using the built-in webcam where you're not sure what that video quality is going to be like. So I like to present it as a way for creators to have a little bit of quality control over their own content, even if they do a lot of collaborations, because you can sort of present it as, hey, I have this cool software that you could try out and be able to use your phone instead of your built-in camera as a just to make sure that your video overall looks good, even if your guest might not have a totally professional setup.
Absolutely. That's really cool. Saeed just wanted to confirm. So we were talking about the screen sharing before, and he was just saying that so he could screen capture an iPad maybe while using a drawing app and then send that to a virtual cam to OBS, right? So whatever is running on the iPad, I think he's talking about that. So is there because when you plug your iPad in, that could be used as can that be used as a camera source into something else? I'm trying to get my head around what he's asking there. I don't think that's possible.
Well,
I don't think, or is that? Maybe you can tell me.
Actually, I might have misunderstood what he was saying, because I'm using the iPad. I bring the iPad in with a capture card to my computer for demoing.
Right. Oh,
but
yes, I think that's what it means. It's the other way around. It's not sending a virtual cam from the iPad into OBS. It's I think that's right.
That's just plugged in. I have a hub for the iPad, which has HDMI output,
Right.
and that I just have that going into a capture card that comes into my computer.
Yeah.
I'm running like a 3.5 capture card setup, if I'm being honest, and I'm very proud of it. So
Three
yeah,
and a half capture
love
card.
talking capture card shop.
Are you using Camlinks, by the way, for everything that you're doing, or are you using something else?
So I have this, it's not quite gas because it's for testing purposes, but I have like 4 or 5 different capture cards, from the non-branded Amazon ones
Right.
to Nearstream to AverMedia to Elgato. Yeah,
Not
I think I
sponsored,
have
Martin.
about one of every capture card under the sun. But do y'all, so you guys are Camlink heavy? Because
No,
I've heard a lot of good things about Camlink.
no. I used to be, but because I don't know, because I just am crazy and have multiple cameras. I needed at some point, because I like recording some of my videos with multiple cameras, so 2 or 3
Yeah.
sometimes. So I invested in a PCIe HDMI capture card. So it's in its own box, basically, because you can't plug anything into a Mac, unlike a PC. See, that's a good point for a PC. You can plug all kinds of stuff in a PC. So I wouldn't have had to pay an extra $250 for a silver box just so I can slap this card in there. And it's a Blackmagic Quad HD 4K capture card. So it's got 4 HDMI ports, and it comes out as one single Thunderbolt connection that you just plug into your Mac.
Oh.
So so when in Ecamm you see them as 4 separate camera sources, unlike an ATEM Mini, something like that, because the
Oh,
ATEM you only see
wow.
one. So it's not cheap though. I think the
Okay.
whole thing is around $600 all in, because the capture card's like
Sure.
300. But there's another couple of different companies that do similar things. But for me,
Yeah.
it's been rock solid. And the thing is with Camlinks is that they're not persistent in terms of the connection. So like you'll plug a Camlink in, and then when you run up your software, just the way
Yeah.
that the USB bus works on a Mac or a PC, there's no mapping between them. So with these software, I know that HDMI port 1 is always going to be camera A, for example, and so on. So yeah, that might be
That's
something.
really
If you've got
cool.
gas, maybe
Yeah.
you should just invest in that. And I haven't tried plugging it into the iPad though, and seeing if you get like 300 cameras in there. But that's because Camo actually only supports 2 at the moment, right? So
Right,
two
to
sources,
which is
yeah.
also an iPad OS limitation
Yeah.
at this moment.
Yeah.
We would love to do more, but iPad OS had said just 2 for now. And so Neil, because you do change your camera angle pretty
Yes.
regularly when you're doing your content,
Yeah.
so you just have all your video sources plugged into that one
Yeah.
Blackmagic device, and
That's it.
oh, okay.
And then switch in Ecamm, and then I use like auto switching as well. So Ecamm,
Yeah.
you can switch between the camera automatically. So you just let it run. So it's nice if you're just doing a talking head, you get these different camera angles.
I love it. I
and
think you
mix it
do
up a
like
bit.
I really like how you have yours laid out, because it's sort of like you have like this slow zoom pan, and then it's like you
Right.
change to the side angle, which
Yeah.
also sometimes I think does a little pan. So you do have that on a auto thing in Ecamm? I was curious
Sometimes-
if you were doing it manual
Sometimes,
or
or I'll do it manually with the Elgato foot pedal, because we've all got gas here. Everybody
Oh,
has
that's
all this
right.
gear, but the Elgato foot pedal is just great. But you have to wear socks with it. That's my top tip, because it's noisy. If not,
Oh, it is. Wow,
yeah,
I
it
didn't
can be.
think about that.
Depends how
Yeah.
aggressive you are with it as well. I was talking to somebody
Well, yeah,
yesterday, and they
you're
were
just
quite aggressive
stomping
with
on it.
slamming on it. You just be gentle with it and wear socks. That's my tip. I know we're at the top of the hour. I don't know how long you've got, Eden, but I don't know if you wanted to show maybe just real quick some of the differences with the beta version, or any sort of tips and things that are coming down the pipe. Maybe you can just talk about those. It's entirely up to you. We can stay as long as you want. It's entirely up to you. But
Yeah, I can hang out for a little bit longer. So
Okay.
I just realized I can't demo the beta because I have the live version installed, and I don't want
Ah.
to put y'all through.
Okay.
We aren't quite on the level of Ecamm where you can have both versions running at the same time, although I have been pushing very hard for that, because I'm like, it's a lot of work to switch between builds constantly. And actually, I just remembered my overlay issue that I was dealing with when I was demoing the desktop app was because I had been running the beta, and when I
Oh,
switch
that's all right.
over, it doesn't retain all of the scenes as well. So that's actually a note if you are planning to try out the beta. There is some issue, as it is beta. With betas, there are some bugs that we haven't quite sorted out yet. One of them is the rolling back to live version. You will lose your scenes and have to set them up again. There's a way to back it up, but it's a little bit convoluted. But yeah, the beta version, the beta program that Neil mentioned, is something that we are trying to build out a lot more robustly as a full-on beta program at Camo. Right now, oh wow, awesome. Neil has it as it. Of course, I knew I was going to point in the wrong direction.
That's
But
just
yeah. but we are, as we move towards more content creation features, we want to get more feedback and want to be able to let our audience and our community preview these features and let us know what they think. So for example, the beta, which I know Neil has tried, the interface is totally different than the one that I showed you today. Almost all of the image adjustments and enhancements and controls, we've moved to the left-hand navigation. Oh, nice. There we go. There we go. And we have the overlays that now are moving towards scenes functionality in the right-hand navigation, which is kind of similar to what I was showing on the iPad with the scene switcher. And it has the same overlay editor, and which I have more features that we hope we're going to bring to that soon as well. But basically, we move some stuff around to sort of help people get a feel for utilizing scenes, because I feel like at this point, if you are creating content, everyone knows what a scene is. And if you're not already utilizing them, you should be, because it is a great way to streamline your video workflow, which is such a buzzword, but it's really the most apt word, I think, in this situation is using scenes to keep your videos contents organized.
Definitely.
But yeah, so we also have a bunch of new built-in template scenes that Neil is showing off right now, the MySpace Dreamy scene. Yeah, we have the
so
template,
many. Yeah,
the little social template ones. There's ones where you can add, your name, your location, and in a bunch of different ways that we wanted to. Yeah, this is one of my favorites, actually.
Yeah,
we
cool.
wanted to add more scenes and for different use cases in the beta to help people understand how they could be used. Even if you aren't using them, you might be able to get inspiration for what you might want to create yourself.
Right.
But yeah, scenes are coming, people. So
amazing.
So
and
buckle up.
can you export these scenes and play with them and then import them? Is that something you guys would be considering? Because Martin here is a master of creating scenes and overlays and things, and it would be really good if there was an ability to be able to export, customize, tweak, and then pop them back into the software.
I will have to put that in as a feature request. But Martin, yes, I actually was like, wow, you are really good at creating these like motion graphics, and like you made that little trailer for that I was in for that was on LinkedIn. What is your main editor poison of choice? What did you use to create the assets?
Oh God. Everything is the answer to that. So
I love
it kind of depends what the output's going to be. So I've got a couple of little video editor tools. I use a couple of AI tools. I use Photoshop AI as well. So quite often I find that, well, for instance, even in that little one that I did for you, I took one of your pictures off of the internet, and then it had got a logo at the bottom of it across you. So I just go into AI and get AI to generatively fill different areas or to extend the background so that everything fits in nicely. So you might have seen myself and Neil where I was on green screen coming into the office in Portugal, and what I did there was go into Photoshop and get it to extend Neil's office so that we were wider, and I could sit beside him on green screen, transparent. So yeah, there are a lot of different tools that get used,
very cool,
stitched together, and I'm actually rendering something as we speak, which is not going to be ready, Neil, by the end of the show.
No worries. We'll have it. We'll do it later. But thank you for that. But yeah, Martin is the wizard for this.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm like fascinated. I'm just like, wow, you did all of that, and it's like all tools that I use and know how to use. I just haven't put it together the way Martin has. The green screen extending that y'all did with the show with Johnny last week was very cool. The way that it extended your green screen with Martin, which I did not even realize that you were using a green screen until, I guess I wasn't paying that much attention on the previous shows, but I only really noticed it when y'all did the green screen show with Johnny last week. And the way you have your green screen and the way that you're utilizing it, just like with the, I don't know, it kind of looks like you're in the ocean with the sparkly graphics is really cool, and I just had no idea that was a green screen this whole time. So I guess that's green screen done right, when people can't tell that it's a green screen.
That's the key. And it's interesting you should mention the LUTs earlier on as well, because what I do find with green screen is if you apply a LUT to my camera, then I think that this is theoretically, I think what is happening is that the LUT is making the differences between colours a bit greater.
Oh.
So the overall effect is when that data gets sent back to Ecamm to interpret the green screen, it actually does a much better job. So it already does an extremely good job, but if you then apply a LUT to your camera, then it likes the data even more, and you get an even clearer outline. So when you're playing about with green screen, you might want to try applying a LUT to your camera.
We have
and
a
then
green
see
screen booster
what
LUT
happens.
in camo as one of
Ah,
our bundled
right.
ones.
There you go
I
then.
sometimes have thrown it on just to be like, oh, it kind of makes my video look better. But hearing you explain that, like the functionality of how you can use a LUT to make your green screen look better is, I got to watch the replay and take the notes from that and to be able to talk more intelligently about the bundled LUTs that we have in camo. Thank you.
And John has joined us. John, thank you so much. And we did recommend Camo Pro to John some time back when we were working with him. So yeah, he's really enjoying it. And it has changed so much. I mean, his setup has gone from looking reasonable to like, wow, and just in a few changes and so on. And all thanks to Camo for that as well. Lots of fun stuff here. Let's see what else. And Saeed was saying,
Awesome.
why I was asking, without a capture card, I could just use the virtual camera feature of Camo on the iPad and add it to a camera source. I don't think is there a virtual camera feature in
So
iPad Camo?
it's not on the iPad yet. I don't like, so for example, on the iPad, we talked about how on desktop you can use Camo as a virtual camera in any video conferencing software. That is not the case on iPad yet. I'm actually not sure that virtual cameras have become a popular technique that is used on the iPad. But we aren't there yet, although it is on the to-do list.
Yeah. Something to think about, some more stuff. So before we wrap up, is there anything you want to tell our wonderful audience about in terms of anything that's up and coming from Camo, anything that you can talk about, or are you just going to let us all wait and wonder what's happening in the next few weeks?
I feel like I gave a little teaser earlier already when I said we were cooking some stuff up in the kitchen. So definitely hang tight, and we will be announcing some stuff in the very near future. And so when I say very near future, I mean not 6 months from now. It could be anywhere between now and 6 months, but
Q2-ish.
But
yeah, that's what people say. Q2,
not as far as 6 months.
People say Q2. Right, so just real quick. So people, get yourself reincubate.com/camoflow/beta or beta, depending on you say where you're from in the world, to get yourself a copy of that. And it's well worth playing around with because it's really good. And also for you, if people want to get in touch with you, I've just put your linkedin.com /EdenLou42 link there. That's where all your socials are and thing. And you're also Instagram and so many places to get hold of you. But I think Instagram's the best place right now to get a hold of you. All right. Anything from you, Martin? Any other questions for Eden before we let her go?
Do you know, I made a note of 3 or 4 things.
Go ahead.
I talked about all of them.
Oh.
I love the iPad side of things, and I do have an iPad Pro M1, which I do use every now and again, but more particularly when I go away, which I'm going away next week. And don't tell my better half Sheena that I can now stream from my iPad as well, because she'll be taking the iPad away from me.
There you go. That's fantastic. We'll have to do a live stream joint, Martin. Something. Anyway, we'll think about that. Anyway, so hang around with us a little bit, Eden. If you've got 5 minutes, just in the Zoom room. Just we'll end the show in about a couple of minutes. But once again, thank you so much for sharing everything of Camo. It's a great product. We'd love to have you back in a few months' time when we've got the integration for Stream Deck, virtual camera on iPad. I'm just kidding. All those things that are coming.
All of the feature requests, when they are here, I will come back on to talk about them.
Fantastic. Well, we'd love to have you back. Thank you so much for joining us. Stay with us for a little bit in the green room, and we'll see you in a second. Thanks, Eden. Take it easy. All right. Marvelous. So, another great guest, great software. We like talking tech with our wonderful guests with the software.
And Eden will be coming back telling us when we can live stream from our phones using Camo.
Camo
I
iPhone
don't think she said
Studio,
that, actually.
as it's called. Yeah, multi-streaming. That's what we want. We want to go to 10 destinations with 4K resolution with 10 cameras plugged in. That's what we want. But anyway, thank you, Daryl. Great show today. Thank you so much. Well, it's only as good as the people that are on it. And I mean our guests, I don't mean us two, obviously, and the people who are participating as well. So thank you all for joining as well. It's really kind of you. So what have we got going on, Martin? So next, I am losing track. Next Tuesday, are we going live at the same time, or are we going to make it a bit earlier? Are we going to experiment with going earlier, or are we going to keep it to 6 p.m. UK for now? Because I have no idea what we're doing.
I think we might go live a bit earlier, just to,
Okay.
because we're already confusing people anyway with the time difference.
Absolutely.
And the clock changes. So we might as well really go mad and go live at sort of 1 o'clock UK, 1 or 2 o'clock UK
Right.
time.
Okay.
That'll be breakfast time for Eden.
Yes.
She can tune in over
Exactly.
coffee at breakfast, and maybe we'll try doing that, because the prime thing is most people UK time are going live between 6 and 8 o'clock or 5 and 8
Yeah.
o'clock, because that works quite well for all time zones. But
Right.
that also means there's a bit of a schedule clash with all sorts of different things going
Yes.
on. So I've just had various notifications pop up for Adrian Salisbury going live 10 minutes ago for
Oh,
his
really? Okay.
sessions. So yeah, let's maybe go 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Tuesday, but for people who haven't seen before, in
Oops.
vertical.
There I go. I
So
pressed
it
the wrong
is
button.
The vertical
I pressed
show.
the there it is. There's the vertical
Yeah,
show.
I think
Yes,
it's the right one.
I just wanted to get rid of the time that actually said 6 p.m. and so on, so I didn't want to confuse everybody. So we are going to go earlier. We will let you know when that's going to be on the socials, so just keep watching our various social platforms to make sure that we will be going at the time that we said we would, which is the Vertical Show on Tuesdays, and next Thursday, this time next week. And it will still be the same time next week because the times don't change until the end of March. We've got Mitzi Wyman joining us, who has been experimenting with using AI for video. And Mitzi is also a content creator. She also does a lot of speaking engagements and stuff for the NHS and all our customers. So looking forward to having Mitzi on the show to talk about her journey with AI content creation and how it's basically enhanced her workflow and helps her create better content. So that's all that. I'm going to say goodbye from sunny Portugal. The storm has stopped, kept us going. Thank goodness for the live stream. And so it's goodbye from me.
And it's cheerio from me, and glad we got to the end of the show without breaking down.
See you later.
See ya.